Welcome to our channel Blender Tips. In this tutorial, you will learn that how we can create this grassy field, and we also create some water system to water this grassy field. So how we can apply these settings, fluid settings and particle settings to complete this setup. So in this video, you will learn how to create this beautiful simulation by using Blender, physics and particle properties. So let's start. First, I open Blender, select all and delete everything. Press Shift A to add a plane and scale it. Enter into the edit mode of this plane and extrude it along z-axis, something like here, and also scale it. Press 3 for face selection and select the upper face and delete this face. Back to the object mode and press Shift A to add another plane, and in top view I scale it and adjust it something like here. Nice. Now in particle setting, I apply a particle and here I choose here, and in front view I decrease the length of these here, something like here. Beautiful. And here I increase the number up to 3000 and choose this option advance, and in children I select interpolated to increase some more air particles, and in physics I add some Brownian to these particles to look like a realistic grass, and in roughness I change this value endpoint and also randomize. Nice. Now I add some material to this system. For that I enter into the material and here I add a new material, and here I choose some soil type material and decrease this value. Enter into the material to view this, and I add some another material, grass color, which is obviously green, and also decrease to look like a realistic. Choose this and apply this material. You can see that the grass particle colors is not apply to the hairs. For that I enter into the particle settings, and in render section I apply this material. So you can see that it look like some better, and now it's add some watering system which water this grass field. For that, in front view I add some curve which is path, and also rotate this curve along y-axis to 90 degree, and move this curve something like here and scale it down and press dot to focus it and adjust it something like here. Now enter into the edit mode of this curve and select the upper vertex and move it something here. And now in object data properties, I open the geometry option, and in bevel section I increase some depth to make this curve a pipe, something like here. Back to the object mode and convert this curve into the mesh. Now I add some flow object, which is I choose UV sphere and also make it shape smooth and scale it down. And now move it something like here and focus it to adjust this sphere inside this pipe. Nice. Now I want to add a domain which is very essential for fluid properties, and for that I add an object which is cube and scale this cube is so that which cover all these objects. Nice. And to view clearly I enter into the wireframe mode and also scale it down along the z axis, because when the domain is too much big, then you can increase more resolution to see water clearly. Now it's covered all these objects. Now it's time to add fluid properties to this system. First I select this sphere which is act like a flow object, and in physics tab I apply some fluid properties, and here I select flow, and in flow type I choose liquid, and in geometry I choose inflow. And you can see that this is the positive x-axis, and when the water is emit from this sphere, it has some initial velocity along x-axis to make it realistic. For that I apply some initial velocity, and in x-axis I apply initial velocity 2.5 meter per second. Now I choose the gross particles, and when water emit from this pipe it collide with the gross particle. For that I choose fluid, and here I choose effector and also make it is planar, and repeat the same for the next plane and choose it planar. Now it's time to apply fluid properties to this cube. For that I apply fluid properties, and here I choose domain, and here liquid, and also increase the resolution up to 100. Beautiful. Now if you run the simulation, you can see that the water is ejecting from this pipe and enter into this grassy field. Beautiful. And when the sufficient water is collecting in this field, then it's rise up. I apply some more setting to this. I increase some sampling, which means particle number higher result in more particle of the water. So for that I increase some sampling value up to 5, and here you can see the more some realistic result. And now the water is flowing into this and collide with the walls of the first plane, which is as effector, and also move it here. Beautiful. And now I apply some material setting to these. For that I enter into my asset browser, and here I choose some HDRI lighting First, to see this, for that I select this and make it transparent. And now back to the material, and here I choose some water type material to this scene, and to see it clearly, in physics tab I check the mesh box. Nice. Now I apply some metal type material to this pipe. For that I choose the metal, and here I apply this material. Beautiful. Now back to the timeline and run the simulation to see the result. Nice. The water is ejecting from this pipe and entering into this grassy field, and you can see that the water is surrounding all these grasses to make it some realistic. Nice. Now it's time to render and see some more result in rendering. So I add a camera to this scene, and here I chose this, and in render setting you can see that when I render this, it look like some realistic in Eevee. And when you render this system using cyclic and this GPU, then you can see that it look like some more realistic. So in this way you can easily create a grass field and make some arrangement to water it to look like a realistic grass field by using the Blender properties. Thanks for watching.